My name is Craig Norris. I am a manager of the technical writers here at GitLab. I just recently started my job, back at the beginning of April in 2020. And noteworthy fact, my manager, Susan Tacker, also started at the beginning of April. And while we were both trying to familiarize ourselves with our new role, we realized we had an excellent team, but we really didn't know exactly what content that we had. And so one of the first things that we did is we sat down and did an audit of the content that we have that's available on docs.gitlab.com. And from that particular audit, we found some very interesting information that I'd like to share. Through this particular audit, we put the information together that allowed us to be able to just find out what exact files do we have, what's some information about those particular files, including titles, subject areas, even things like how big or how many words do they have, what's the reading level of the content that are on the pages, how often are these pages viewed from Google Analytics. And we put together some interesting information about those pages. Most of our content happens to be pages that are stored in the GitLab repo. However, noting from this particular chart, we have other repositories, Omnibus, Runner, and Charts. We have a lot of pages that are actually simple 301 redirects, which our method is we actually have to have a physical page in order to be able to do the redirect. Why is that? We have a legacy application integration issue that's preventing us from being able to get away from having discrete redirect pages, which is then inflating our page count. And so that's one of the things that we're looking at with removing the /help dependency within the documentation application. Always things to do. Another thing that we've, and of that is there's approximately 1,600 pages that make up all of that. Of those 1,600 pages, we have about 1.2 million words within the GitLab product documentation, whether that be content or whether that be instructions, but it's still, markdown instructions, which are still things that we, care about. What does that translate to? That approximately 24 standard novels, or a little over 2 copies of War and Peace. Now, the nature of those is that War and Peace or a novel are written once. We are maintaining this information on a regular basis, so much so that looking at our content edits of the content and the images, so the text and the images, over half of that information has actually been touched at some point this year. We have we have older information that we would like to be able to ensure that we update more frequently, but we're touching a lot of that information regularly. And then a final thing that I just kind of wanted to point out, the reading level of our content using the Flesch-Kincaid readability assessment, which was created to evaluate training manuals. So we figured that mapped relatively well to product documentation. Shows that we have a reading level of approximately 10.7, which translates to about an 11th grade reading level in the US educational system. Noting that most people in the US have really only a 7th to 8th grade reading level, and is something that we would like to try to address in order to make our documentation more accessible to more people, as well as to people who have English as a second language or don't primarily speak English. So these are all things that we've evaluated as part of our review of the content. Are we done? We are not. We are very interested in learning more about our product documentation and how people interact with it and what we can do to improve it. But we figured this is a good start and will help us make some good initial decisions as we move forward and make our documentation better. Thank you very much, and hope that you have a great and wonderful day. Thanks very much.